Hi everyone, my name is Antonio Regon and I teach at the University of Córdoba, and today I'm presenting Reality versus Fiction, exploring television's potential for cultural learning in EFL. What I'm trying to do today is to let you in how we use television, more specifically sitcoms, more specifically today, sitcoms that deal with ethnic minorities to teach our students culture and to make them more culturally aware and to help them develop their intercultural communicative competence in order to substitute the more traditional stance that traditional textbooks provide. For many years, textbooks have been considered authorities in the English language and foreign language classroom. They tend to be very, very well designed. They're very helpful to teachers, but they cannot be used as cultural authorities, mainly because they're focused and in a very Eurocentric stance. Is a very static view of culture, which equals culture with national culture. It's very concentrated on native speakers. When native speaker is kind of a mythological entity that has the appearance of an English person from the southern part of England, and not with any other native speakers of the English language that we all have in mind. Also, this is a very conflictive area, but also we have the problem that the culture is mainly presented as very superficial. Food festivals, folklore, and facts is what Claire Crumbs used to say. Very superficial treatment of culture, and no attention is paid to that hidden part of culture that has to do with behaviors that underlie such. I'm sorry, beliefs that underlie such behaviors. Television has been always a very important part, a very determining factor in learning English, even when it wasn't as common and as accessible as it is today. The television has always, since the coming of the VHS, the old VHS, I'm sorry, it was always present in the foreign language classroom, specifically in the EFL classroom. Now more so that we are, we get everything the one click away. We can watch anything. We can watch it with the subtitles on, same language subtitles, closed captions on, and everything has been studied as very beneficial because there is a boost in acquiring linguistic skills. Motivation goes up the roof, and they also provide, and this is something a little bit newer, they also provide a window into a certain culture, and it provides some kind of insight into other cultural groups. Although the number of programs in which minorities are present on mainstream North American TV is increasing, obviously there are still a number by white shows. Asians and Latinos are still very underrepresented in regards to their actual demographic weight, and Native Americans are ridiculously underrepresented. This produces a very unrealistic depiction of a society that is in its innately diverse. Secondly, we have a problem of underrepresentation, which I have already mentioned, but the final is the lack of cultural specificity of different minorities. As a result, groups as Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, or Filipinos are just labeled as Asians, disregarding with this very broad term, disregarding their actual heritage, which is only partial to their identity too. The same happens with different Latinos, in which they're given general, very broad characteristics to a very diverse group. The question will be whether the use of television can be successful into breaking the echo chamber in which our students are living, or if we're already putting more into stereotyping different cultural groups. In this regard, we think that the representation of ethnic minorities can help develop our students' intercultural competence. Okay, that way, selecting shows depicting minority perspectives and cultural specificities can help us students be more aware of the very diverse nature of societies nowadays. By carefully selecting television material, our aim is to illustrate how cultural diversity, specific identities and values of minority groups can be integrated in the EFL classroom. I think this shift in perspective can help learners expand their cultural awareness, deconstruct their monocultural and static viewpoints, and make them more complete, more democratic intercultural citizens. In every show and episode that we're bringing as an example today, which 5 of them, you'll have some information. You have in the slide some information about the show, also the specific episode that we advise to use, or that we'd recommend to use in class, and also the cultural big C items and small C items regarding to behaviors and beliefs and values that are involved in this episode. The first one is Abbott Elementary, which is a TV show, a mockumentary that depicts the day-to-day life at Abbott Elementary, a mainly black, insufficiently funded public school in a neighborhood, in a underprivileged neighborhood in the city of Philadelphia. In this episode, wrong delivery is used to show the clash between two types of state-funded schools, public and charter schools. Charter would be similar to concertado in the Spanish educational system, which is privately run but taxpayer funded. There is this remarkable differences in funding have a very start to take its toll on Abbott's faculty. Again, the topic of underprivileged kids and their life is recurrent and also can be explored in other episodes, such as the 11th episode of the first season, which is called Wishlist. Blackish has been very popular for a very long time as a sitcom that deals with a upper middle class family, African American family living in Los Angeles. And what makes this episode very not very ideal, but ideal for teaching in the classroom is the fact that it deals with an actual case of police brutality against African Americans and the feeling of despair that the whole family experiences as they watch CNN blaming the victim, and as the authorities blame the victim, and they learn that there will be no indictment and no charges will be brought for the officers guilty of such brutality. This is even when Blackish is a very traditional in a structure, very traditional sitcom, it is not so in the fact that it deals with very hard topics such as this one, moving away from a very euphemistic view that tends to be used in this type of shows. this is even more so when done in broadcast television that has nothing to do with other vias like streaming platforms, which are more viable in this type of topics. We are also bringing Gentified, which is a story of three Mexican cousins that try and fight to keep the grandfather's taco shop open. This episode deals with identity, which is very is a very recurrent topic in this type of shows, in which characters tend to fight between being accepted in the society, but also being true to their upbringing and to their heritage. Okay. Also, it deals with family interactions, which are very real, because the code switching between Spanish and English is constant. This makes the show very, very interesting. Toxic masculinity and the place of workers in American society, Latino workers in American society, is also very well depicted. Master of None was one of the most critically acclaimed sitcoms of the decade of the 2010s, and it tells the professional and family life of Dev, which is a 30-year-old wannabe actor living in New York. In this particular episode, there is a conflict between tradition and reality, which is very recurring again in this show. Also between family values and social standards, wanting to be part of a society, which is typical of second generation immigrants or sons of immigrants. In the early days of the sitcom, this clash was resolved weekly with some kind of moral lesson. And contrary to this, moral and traditional values will triumph. Main character coming to terms with his own identity is kind of an excellent opportunity to working class. Reservation Dogs is the first show ever to bring an entirely indigenous team, both acting and behind the scenes, which makes a very, very important statement in the part of their creators, since Native Americans in the US have been portrayed very rarely, and they have been almost absent from TV. And when they haven't been so, it has been in a ridiculous stereotypical form. So this particular episode brings some very interesting clashes between values of Native Americans as they clash, as I said, with real American values. One of them, the dealing with the spirit worlds and the ancestors, hunting tradition, and also the non-observance of white men's rules, such as the ownership of land. At one point they say, we are Indian, we do not own land. And as I said, it's contrast, no? Also, it's worth mentioning how these young people are faced with leaving the reservation and chase their dreams, but also their need for belonging to the tribe, which means staying closer to the nature that in which they were born. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry I have to rush a little bit because we have a 15-minute maximum for presentations. Anyhow, if you need anything further, if you want to know more about this, you can send me an email and I'll be sure to reply. Thank you again. Take care.